Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Wanted man bigger crime, killed in Clarendon. One of Jamaica's most wanted, Nesta Bigger Crime Morrison, is dead. Morrison was wanted in connection with crimes committed in Bull Bay, was fatally shot during an intelligence-led operation by the security forces in Longville Park, Clarendon on Wednesday, Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitzbailey stated. Bigger crime rained terror on the citizens within the 11 miles Bull Bay area and its environs, killing and maiming several people. I think it's a victory for the people of those communities, and it is a relief that he can no longer perpetrate those acts of violence against them, Bailey stated. Morrison was wanted for double murder, shooting with intent, and arson. In November of last year, his hideout in the 11 miles area was raided by a joint anti-gang task force, and 3 firearms were seized and over 120 rounds of assorted ammunition. Several other items, including cellular phones, counterfeit US currency, bank cards, and food items, were reportedly found in the hideout.
I wish to confirm to the Jamaican people that Nesta Morrison, OC Bigger Crime, of 11 miles Bull Bay, which is the border of St. Thomas, was fatally shot during an intelligence-led operation by the security forces in Longville Park, Clarendon. Bigger Crime has been on the police most wanted list for over 2 years, and despite many requests from the police for him to turn himself in, he actually did not, and several operations were mounted against him that were unsuccessful. Bigger Crime rained terror on the citizens within the 11-mile Bull Bay areas and its environment, killing and maiming several people. I think it's a victory for the people of those communities, and it's a great relief that he can no longer perpetrate those acts of violence against them.
Jamaica is in a new dispensation of law and order, states Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
Now, recently, we had a major incident in the country, which has somehow managed to capture and possibly even galvanize frustration and agitation in the country. Inasmuch as there are complaints regarding what is, in my opinion, an unfortunate presentation of a clause in the new Road Traffic Act, there are still many Jamaicans, and I would dare say the silent majority, those people who form middle Jamaica, the reasonable ground and conscience of the country, who appreciates and understand what this administration is trying to do in breaking the culture of informality, in reestablishing the rule of law and public order in our country. We understand that we can't make change overnight. Where we are now took decades of breakdown in standards and rules and expectations. We are not going to change that overnight. This provision, which has caused so much consternation in the public domain, and rightfully so, that provision, which requires that if you are in a public passenger motor car, a taxi, the child should have a booster seat, a cushion that would elevate the child so that the seatbelt harness does not become a danger to the child should the child be strapped in. Of course, there are those who want to take that provision and make it more than it is, to say that the government is requiring every taxi to have a car seat, which is a very expensive proposition. Now, there is a practical side to the consideration. Can this really be enforced given the nature of our public transportation system, given the level of income that our taximen earn? Would it be fair to impose this on them? The answer is obviously no. But when it made it into the Act in 1999, what was the thinking then? Why put it in the law if you didn't intend to enforce it? There was a debate about public safety and about Jamaica adopting formal rules of safety. There were UN conventions to which we have signed on to. I was then a member of the opposition when it was put in. And when it came to the iteration that it is now, it was the previous government that maintained it in. And we didn't object to it. And neither did the opposition now. Why? Because there is an aspiration. Even though we are poor, and even though we don't have the money for car seats, but as a people, we must aspire towards the safety of our children. So the previous administration did not enforce it, but that leads to another dilemma. Why put something in the law if it is not going to be enforced? Even with the various changes to the Road Traffic Act, our system of enforcement for traffic was not credible. We didn't have a credible traffic ticketing system. So many Jamaicans felt that, that is just the law on the books. But if I get a ticket, I don't have to go and pay it. It can stay there for how long? And then that has been reinforced by a culture of amnesty. So let the tickets pile up, then the government will give an amnesty, and then the system of informality continues. The chaos continues. I don't want to be seen as the Prime Minister who is trying to stop people from eating our food. And there are those who will try to craft that narrative, pitting law and order against survival. That if we enforce the law, if we create order, then people won't survive. And that is in the minds of many Jamaicans. And that is not true. The hardships that we now experience is precisely because we do not have an even system of law and order where everyone can benefit from it. And what we must be debating now is how do we get this even, fair, transparent system of public order and the rule of law for everyone to benefit. That is what we must be debating. Disorder in how we settle our land, disorder in almost all areas. If you look in our townships, there's no parking for taxi men. Vendors are on the streets. Pedestrians can't walk properly. Disorder. And people feel, well, I'm surviving in this disorder, but others are not. You have to ask yourself, will Jamaica continue like this for the next century, or will we change it? You have come and seen it that way. Do you intend to leave it that way? No, I agree. We can't do everything one time. We can't bite off more than we can chew. And the pressures that people are under now, you can't ask them to take on more cost to be compliant with the law. So we acknowledge that. It was never the intention of the government for this provision to remain in the law. Minister Shaw indicated in Parliament that there are some areas that he will have to bring regulations to make changes to. And later on today, when I head back to Kingston, I'm expecting that he should be making either the announcement or the regulations to change this provision in the law regarding child restraints. Because we understand it is not practical, but it remains our aspiration. I encourage all parents, I encourage all public passenger transport users, look about the safety of yourself and your children when you use public passenger transport. Put on the seatbelt in the back of the car. I encourage you to do it. So I thought I would use this attentive audience to say to you, Jamaica is entering a new dispensation of the enforcement of its laws. In the previous dispensation, you would never have this kerfuffle about the seatbelt for children because nobody believed it would be enforced. Now, everybody understands that the government is serious about enforcement. And the enforcement is not to punish people. The enforcement is not about greater revenues. No, the enforcement is about public order and public safety, meaning your safety. That's what it is about. So I urge Jamaicans, don't get caught up in some of the nonsense that is being said. Your country is changing right before your very eyes. But when you are in the midst of change, it can appear confusing, chaotic, and oftentimes imperceptible. But when the history is written and you look back at this era and you ask yourself, when did things change for traffic management and public order in Jamaica? The historians will have to point to this period in Jamaica's history. You were witnesses to it. What did you do? while being a witness. God bless you and thank you.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell.